Shalom, welcome to our daily shur in Parashat Shavua. We have a double Parashat today this week, Acharei and Kedoshim. We've studied two shiurim in regards to Acharei, the Avodah of Kohen Gadol, as rectifying the terrible tragedy that two sons of Aaron went in and did what they wanted to do. They were so full of love and they could not gird themselves and prevent themselves from adhering to the laws. Whereas Kohen Gadol, on Yom Kippur, month number
7,
day number 10, on that day, Kohen Gadol goes in, even to the Kodesh HaKodeshim several times, to do kapara, atonement for the entire nation of Israel. Yesterday, at the end of the shiur, we started glancing at Perek Yud Chet, chapter 18. And I want to say, second parsha is called Kedoshim. And there's going to be a commandment in the second pasuk, quote, Kedoshim Tihiyu. Many of us are advancing in a concept that's called Kedusha, holiness. When we grow up often in Western culture, outside, we don't meet up with so much Kedusha. Because without talking about the Coca-Cola commercial, that they hold that it's the real thing, and we know that it's not the real thing. The real thing is Kedusha. And that, in its greatest capacity, can be found in a country, in a land called? Israel. In a nation called? Am Yisrael. In a culture called?
Jewish culture?
Torah Yisrael. That's right. Each of the three that you all mentioned is distinct, is unique, is special, and one more word, is divine. Okay? Even this gentleman who has a lovely blue shirt, and I see he has flesh and blood and some hair on his skin, probably has bones and ligaments and tissues and blood cells. He's very human, very physical material, but there's something that we can't see. Something we can't see with the human eye, and that is the divine element inside him that we have to study. We have to understand what is Kedusha about. In my humble understanding, Parashat Kedoshim, which we'll learn in chapter 19 and 20, the second portion of this week, there's a great prelude to it, and that's the laws of a holy culture. And part of the laws of a holy culture is one of the things that we have to overcome, is understand that there are sexes. There's a male and female. And each one has its own role, own function, own honor. Remember, in Judaism, we honor our wives even more than we honor ourselves. The Jewish woman is the most important. Whoever thinks that a Jewish woman is what do they say in French? A shmata? Oh, that's not French? Oh, it's a Yiddish word. Tell him, Daniel, what is a shmata in English?
A rag.
Right, very good. I say your Yiddish is really getting stronger. Right? In Hebrew, who knows what a shmata is? Yeah, no, in Hebrew. Very good. Smart. You're probably helping your wife clean the floors.
Yeah, for sure.
Very good, Rizal. So, the Jewish woman is not a smartut. She's not a rag. She's very special. And the laws of modesty and the laws of adultery in Judaism, there is holiness, uniqueness, no playing around, honoring, respecting. And therefore, as a prelude to Parashat Kedoshim, in my understanding, here in chapter 18, verses 6 and on, is an entire list of all the forbidden relationships, and we call that in Hebrew the prohibitions of. We put it on the board yesterday. Anyone know?
Adultery.
Right, and in Hebrew, do you remember?
No.
Right, that could be one word, but I want another word. Arayot. And it comes from the word nakedness, erva.
Hey, can I actually ask something about this whole subject? So you're aware of this whole transgender movement that's going on in the West right now? Like, where basically you get like a surgery done to technically make yourself a woman. Like, it's basically a bunch of BS. But what if at one point science becomes advanced enough to the point where you could biologically, like down to your cells, change you from a man to a woman, or from a woman to a man? Let's just say at some point it gets to that point. Will the laws change in that sense, or will they?
Art, I don't have 2 hours to study with you right now.
Sorry about that.
To address your good question. Daniel's laughing. Daniel knows that it's a very deep philosophical matter that has to be dealt with. And we have to remember, our way of life is not human. Our way of life is divine. And therefore it's eternal. And therefore it's long-lasting. And therefore it's beautiful. And it's ultimate happiness. And men are often confused, as King Solomon says. Quote from the book of Kohelet. Va'elokim asa et ha'adam yashar. Vehema bikshu cheshbonot rabim. God made man straight, rational, natural. But men, I'm adding, often are confused. It's no doubt in the last 50, 60 years, man is searching. He's searching for a greater truth. He knows that Christianity and others are just hogwash. They know that there's very little value, and they're searching and they're trying. And therefore they have a big salad. Judaism remains what it is for 3,500 years. So here, in chapter 18, we have a long list of the prohibitions called in Hebrew Arayot, from the word erva. And therefore the laws of adultery that Achiut said. And how do we say one of the cardinal sins in Hebrew that we're not allowed to violate? We'll put the word gilui. Very good. Gilui, which is to reveal, to discover, to open up. Okay? So that'll be the prohibition of adultery called Gilui Arayot. Which Arayot? The entire listing here in chapter 18. We preceded this yesterday by saying, as I'm reading again in verse 3, this is a commandment that Moshe must teach Bnei Israel as far as the external cultures that we were exposed to or to be exposed. In verse 3, Kimasei Eretz Mitzrayim, Asher Yeshaftim Ba Lo Ta'asu. Mitzrayim at a very gross, if that's the proper word, I don't know, maybe even a greater word, or grotesque. Is there such a word, grotesque?
Yeah.
Such a grotesque culture of no borders between men and women. And that's what it was. I just want to bring you a short proof. What's your grandfather's name? Avram Avinu? I thought so. Right? Yeah, you, with the beard. Avram Avinu. You remember when he encountered a famine, not long after arriving to Eretz Yisrael at the age of 75 years old after a 600-kilometer hike? And after he encounters the famine and tries so hard to stay here, but what can you do? Tomatoes are 30 shekels a kilo and cucumbers are 45 shekels a kilo. You know what I'm talking about, right? Are they? Is that the price today?
No.
Okay. How much is a kilo of cucumbers?
I think it's 8.
No. You're buying an expensive place. How much is a kilo of cucumbers?
Cucumbers? I don't know.
You're not buying for your house? Come on.
Tomato I buy.
Oh, tomatoes. Pseudo.
18 shekel in Mekola. It's pretty high.
Gentlemen, it's 4 or 5 shekels a kilo if you go to the supermarkets and not to the local.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, he tried everything, but he went down to Mitzrayim. What did he tell his wife en route to that? What was the What was the strategy, Daniel?
Sarah, my sister, I think that was.
Right.
I'm sorry, actually.
Daniel, what was the?
When he went to Eretz Misraim, he told Sarah Imenu to pretend that she was his sister so that there wouldn't be the assumption of, well, she's a woman.
A wife.
Time to harass.
In other words, Avram knew, with every intelligence reports he had, he knew there are people that are selling spices. There's always a trail going back and forth. That if he goes down with his wife, there is a chance or likelihood she's going to be taken and taken to bed. And he's going to be finito de la commedia. Killed. That's in English, killed. That's right. That's killed. That was his suspicion. Why? Because that's their culture. You see a beautiful woman, married or not, they just take her. The question is, if she's married, then we're going to kill the husband. My dear friends, we're a nation. We received the Torah at Sinai. We're en route to a new land called the land of Canaan, which is Eretz Yisrael. The actions and culture of Eretz Mitzrayim, just keep away from that. don't get into assimilation. Furthermore, in Pasuk Gimel itself, the actions of the culture of Eretz Canaan, also a very gross, perverted, mikulkal, messed up culture. The nation of Israel has inner holiness, I'm adding. However, we have an entire way of life. We're not a religion. We're a way of life. Our Torah is Torat Chayim. It's not I'm a Jew in the synagogue and outside I can do anything. We're waiting online for a bus, so because I want to get in front of him, I elbow him away. No. Respect. He was there before you. Stand in back of him. You're in the bakery waiting online. Show respect.
There are no ones in Israel.
I don't accept what you're saying. Go ahead. I don't accept what you're saying, and you're going to show everyone what it means to give kavod. That's
What,
it.
get in line?
Yes, sir.
I do. I tell them behind me.
My dear friends, we're about to go into the land. Please read with me. Pasuk Daled, verse 4.